Hey, welcome back to Math 8. Today we are on lesson 7.8, solving equations with variables on both sides. We are going to jump right in today on page 31 of your note packet. Let's see here if I can make this bigger. There we go. On page 31, we're going to start with example 1. Says, check if the given value is a solution to the equation. We've been doing this for the past few days, so we should be pretty good at it. The one difference that you'll notice is that we're given x equals 3, and I've always said, hey, wherever you see an x in your equation, that is where you're going to plug in 3. In this case, we have an x on both sides. So you guessed it, we're going to plug in 3 on both sides of our equation. So anywhere I see x, I'm plugging in a 3. So we get 2 times 3 minus 9 equals 3 minus 6. And now I keep simplifying. 2 times 3 is 6, minus 9 equals, and 3 minus 6 is a negative 3. 6, forgot my little question mark. We're not sure if that's true yet. 6 minus 9 is negative 3. Does negative 3 equal negative 3? Yes, it does. So then we would answer, yes, this is a solution. X equals 3 is a solution to that equation. All right, let's go ahead and try B on your own. So go ahead and pause the video. Try B, plugging in negative 2 for x, and start me back up again when you're done. So after plugging in negative 2 for x in your equation, you would have started 8 plus 7 times negative 2 equals 5 times negative 2 minus 6. We'll evaluate here. 8 plus a negative 14 equals 5 times a negative 2 is negative 10 minus 6. Now, 8 plus a negative 14, I kind of prefer 8 minus 14, so I'm going to rewrite that. That's actually the correct way to write it. And negative 10 minus 6 is negative 16. Keep forgetting my little question marks. 8 minus 14, we get negative 6. Negative 6 does not equal negative 16. So for B, we'll get no, that is not a solution. X equals negative 2 is not a solution to that equation. All right, we're going to skip C today, and we're going to move on ahead to our vocab words. Your first vocabulary word is no solution. These aren't really vocabulary words, I suppose. It's just good words for you to know, and we should already know what they mean since we've done a little bit of solving the past few days. So for no solution, I'd like you to write down, there is no value that will satisfy the equation. So, for example, if I have 3x plus 2 equals 3x minus 4, if you want, you can go ahead and try to solve this equation for x, and you'll find out, hey, there is no solution. So if I subtract 3x from both sides, these cancel out, those cancel out. We get 2 equals negative 4. That's not true. So there's no solution. Now I realize I might be going too quickly for you. Just remember, you can always pause me if you need more time to write. So I'm going to move on to the next vocabulary word, which is all real numbers as a solution. Now we have written this as infinitely many solutions, and I'm going to go ahead and say that that is the same as infinitely many solutions. It also means that any real number will satisfy the equation. I'm going to give you an example now, so if you need to write some more, go ahead and pause. Your example would be something like 3x plus 2 equals 3x plus 2. you should notice that this is the same on both sides. And that's how we know that if we were to subtract 3x, those are going to cancel out, and you'll be left with 2 equals 2. That's true, so we can say that your answer is all real numbers. So today we're going to try to use all real numbers for our answer if you get something like 2 equals 2. All right, let's keep on moving. On the next page, 32 in your notes, you can see the solving equations with variables on both sides of the equation steps. They are basically the same. We just have one blank to fill, or 2 blanks to fill in here. Number 1, noticing negative signs. Number 2, we're distributing. Number 3, combine like terms on each side of the equation as needed. Number 4, use inverse operations to get the variable on the blank side of the blank. Where do we want the variable? Yes, we want it on the left side, so we get something like x equals blank, for example. Left side of the equal sign. Number 5, cancel addition and subtraction using inverse operations. Number 6, cancel multiplication and division using inverse operations. And number 7, check. I think we're good with that. So I'm going to move on ahead. Okay, we have a lot to cover today, so I'm just going to do a couple examples since I've kind of been throwing these in your worksheets as we go. Let's start with an easy one. Let's start with A. Now, if you look at your steps to solving, you're noticing any negative signs, number 1. Yes, we have one negative sign, 5x minus 7. We don't have anything to distribute, that's step 2. Combine like terms on each side of the equation. On the left side, there's no like terms. On the right side, there's no like terms. So we're going to use, beginning on step 4, use inverse operations to get the variable on the left side of the equation. So I'm going to try to look at the right side here, and I see, hey, there's a 9x on the right side. That's my variable term. So I'm going to move that over to the other side by using inverse operations. It's a positive 9x, so I'll subtract 9x from both sides. This 9x minus 9x cancels out. 5x minus 9x is a negative 4x. That minus 7 just carries down, and we're left with 21 on the right side. I'm going to keep going. I have my x's all on the left. I'm going to get my constant terms all on the right. So it's a negative 7 or a minus 7, so I'm going to add 7 to both sides. Those two go away. I'm left with negative 4x equals 28. One last step here. Cancel all multiplication and division using inverse operations. We have multiplication. I'm going to divide. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 leaves us with just 1x. And 28 divided by negative 4 excuse me, I'm a little sick here. 28 divided by negative 4 is a negative 7. And then, of course, we always like to check if we are feeling a little unsure. Since this is new, we're going to check. So anywhere I see x in my original equation, I plug in a negative 7. 5 times negative 7 minus 7 equals 9 times a negative 7 plus 21. 5 times a negative 7 gives me a negative 35 minus 7. Negative 7 times 9 is a negative 63 plus 21. Negative 35 minus 7 is negative 42. You should be following along. Negative 63 plus 21 gives me a negative 42 as well. So hey, our answer looks pretty darn good. For the sake of time, I'm going to skip B. And we're going to move right on ahead to, let's see, let's find a really tough one. Let's do E. Woof, there's a lot going on. For E, we have the distributive property on both sides of the equation. So we're tying in solving and using the distributive property of multiplication. So let's just look at one side at a time to start with. On the left, I'm going to distribute this 3 times 2x and 3 times 4. All right, let's write that down. 3 times 2x plus 3 times 4 equals 2 times 3x plus 6. All right, I could keep simplifying on the left side, but I'm going to start on the right side of my equation because I can see right now I have another opportunity to use the distributive property. So I do 2 times 3x and 2 times 6. All right. 3 times 2x plus 3 times 4 equals 2 times 3x plus 2 times 6. Okay, now I can clean this up a bit. I'm going to multiply 3 times 2x to get 6x. 3 times 4 is 12 equals 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 6, also 12. Hey, what can we look at right now and notice about both sides of this equal sign? 6x plus 12 equals 6x plus 12. If we flip back at our notes, whenever we have something like here, 3x plus 2 equals 3x plus 2, we know that it's going to be, all real numbers. If we don't believe it, let's try it out. So I'm going to start by moving my variable to the left, negative 6x, or minus 6x, opposites cancel out. I'm left with 12 equals 12. Yeah, that's true. We know when we get 12 equals 12, our answer is infinitely many solutions, or today we're going with all real numbers, and I'm lazy and I'm going to abbreviate. And that's fine if you do the same. Okay, so there's a lot going on in that one. Let's have you pause me right now, and you're going to work on F on your own. When you're done, start me back up again, and you can see if you got your answer right. If you'd like, you can check with your partner before you start the video again. All right, so I can see that I have the distributive property on the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. 12x, I'm just going to leave. And now I have 4 times 3x minus 1 times 4. Or 4 times 1, however you want to write it. All right, let's actually do that multiplication. 12x equals 4 times 3x is 12x minus 4 times 1 is 4. I'm going to move my variable to the left side. So in order to do that, this is a positive 12x, so I have to subtract 12x from both sides. Those 12x minus 12x, those are opposites. If you have 12x's and I take 12 away, you're left with 0 and 0. In this case, we actually have to write 0 because there's nothing else left on the left side. And left on the right is a negative 4. 0 equals negative 4. No way, Jose, that's not true. So we know that this equation has no solution. And that is your answer. If you got no solution, go ahead and pat yourself on the back. Okay, let's move on. Of course, you can go back and if you need some more practice, try C, D, G, those ones that we didn't do. And the key should be with your sub if you'd like to check your answers to see if they're right. But we are going to move on to example 3. This deals with getting a sentence, and you need to write this sentence as an equation and then solve it. Don't forget that last part, solve. So you're just going to write down exactly what you hear. First, I'm going to read it, and then we're going to see if we can try and pick it apart. 2 times a number plus 11 is equal to 3 times the same number plus 15. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have this word number in here. It's a number. We don't know what that number is, so we're just going to say we need to give it a name. So we're going to let x equal the number. So we're going to call this number x. It's a nice variable. And then we're going to write down exactly what we read. 2 times a number. That sounds like 2 times, wait a second, we called x the number. So we're going to say instead of the number, we're going to write x. So 2 times x, and then here we have another place where we're talking about the number. The same number. So we're going to call that x also. 2 times the number plus, we're adding here, 11 is equal to 3 times the same number plus 15. Okay, 3 times the same number, we called that number x, 3x plus 15. Hey, we've got ourselves an equation. I think we can solve it. We don't have any like terms. We don't have any distributive property. We don't have the distributive property to use. So we're going to subtract 3x from both sides, get our variable to the left. 2x minus 3x is, I'm going to move on over here, is negative x plus 11, which is equal to just a 15 left on that side. Next step is to move our constants to the right. Subtract 11, negative x equals 4. But we don't want to know what negative x equals. We just want to know what x equals. So I'm going to either multiply or divide by a negative 1. I'm going to choose divide. So now this negative 1 divided by negative 1 goes away, and we're left with x equals 4 divided by negative 1 is negative 4. And then I'm just going to write a little sentence saying what the number is. The number is negative 4. That's how your answer should be. Go ahead and try B on your own. And then we're going to solve B together. So pause me, try B on your own, and come back and push play. Okay, B says 10 minus 5 times a number. Sounds like we need to let x equal that number again. Let x equal the number, using this number sign. Okay, 10 minus 5 times a number, 5x, is equal to, equal sign, 2 times the same number. 2 times the same number would be x again, minus 32. Okay, so subtract 32. There's the equation you should have come up with. Now let's solve it. Subtract 2x from both sides. I've got to move my x's over to the left side. Negative 5x minus 2x, didn't touch 10, but we get a negative 7x here equals, those 2x minus 2x cancel out, equals negative 32. Okay, from here, I need to get x completely alone, so there's a positive 10 clinging on to him. We're going to subtract that 10 off. Those two cancel out. We're left with negative 7x equals negative 42. All right, one last step to get x all by itself, and it's multiplication now, so we need to divide to undo it. Divide by negative 7, divide by negative 7. We're left with x equals negative 42 divided by negative 7, which is a lovely positive 7. That's great. Let's write a sentence. The number is 7. And that's all I have for today. You might notice you have another example. That's all right. We'll get there tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Get to your worksheet.